Hello, how are you? So this is Miss Renzi, and this is the lesson for Wednesday, May 6th, and Thursday, May 7th. So if you weren't able to attend your Zoom class um, live, this Zoom will sort of walk you through the directions for the work for the day. One thing to keep in mind is that there's going to be a lot of background noise behind me because my kids are playing in the background. Okay, and hopefully they won't interrupt us too much. Okay, so the agenda for this pre-recorded lesson is to preview the read and response, number 4, 5, and 6. That's a purple Google form that you'll find in the classroom assignment, so you want to make sure to fill that out. That's the written work for the day. And then we're going to choose and read 3 myths about the Greek gods. I'm just going to bring you to the website and show you how to navigate, and you can pick 3 myths on your own. Okay, so first let's preview the read and response. So read and respond number 4, you're going to see on the purple Google form, and it's going to ask you a comprehension question about it. And I'm going to read it out loud right now, and I'd like it if you'd read with me. So the second generation of Olympian gods was made up of Zeus's children. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war, was born fully formed from Zeus's head after a bad headache. She was the best loved goddess on Mount Olympus, and the city of Athens was named after her. Athena's symbols include the owl, the helmet, and the spear to represent her wise yet competitive spirit. Apollo was the god of the sun, and he also represented health, medicine, and music. He was the most handsome of the gods and had many lovers. His twin sister Artemis was the goddess of hunting and the moon. She was known to protect women and children. So these are 3 of the most famous kids of Zeus. Athena was his firstborn, and some would say most loved. She was kind of like a daddy's girl, very bold, very spirited. She was in charge. And then you have the twins, Apollo and Artemis, and they represent the sun and the moon, light and dark. Apollo is a god of education and music, of wisdom, and Artemis is more a goddess of hunting and women and children. She's kind of a loner. So Artemis is definitely kind of an introvert and liked to hang out by herself in the woods. Okay, let's go on to read and respond number 5. So read and respond number 5 is about Ares, Aphrodite, and Hephaestus. So these are 3 more of Zeus's kids. Ares, the god of war, was young, handsome, and strong. He loved to fight and wear battle gear. However, he was a coward under his boisterous exterior. Ares was in love with Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, but she was always married to Hephaestus, already married to Hephaestus. Hephaestus, the god of metalworking, worked as a blacksmith on Mount Olympus. He forged tools and jewelry for the gods and goddesses. He was considered the ugliest of the gods and was rejected by his mother Hera. Hermes was the messenger god and also the god of mischief, science, and invention. His symbols are a winged helmet and sandals to illustrate his speed. Dionysus was the god of revelry, and he showed people how to have a good time. So Hermes and Dionysus are 2 of the gods that are Zeus's sons that aren't in as many myths, but they're both really interesting characters. Dionysus is the classic youngest child. He liked to party and have a good time. And Hermes was the messenger god. So he had a job. He was pretty much one of the only gods who had a job. And his job was to be a fast messenger between Zeus and whoever Zeus wanted to communicate with. Okay, so what we're going to do now is read. We're going to preview read and respond number 6. That's the shortest one, and yet in a way it's almost the most important one because it's about a word called allusions. So allusions is the first word in the read, right? And what it means is a reference to something. So when somebody alludes to Greek myth, they're kind of talking about it like you already know what they're talking about. And that's one of the most important reasons why we have kids learn Greek myths, is because in real life, in college, but also in your workplace, you might find yourself seeing allusions to Greek myths, and it helps to know what people are talking about. So allusions, I'm going to just start reading. Allusions or references to Greek mythology can be found nearly everywhere. Entrepreneurs, inventors, and advertisers use these references to help explain what their products are about. The Olympic Games are named for Mount Olympus. The famous Apollo Theater in New York City alludes to Apollo, the god of music. Hermes' winged feet can be seen in the logo for the athlete's foot, a sneaker store. And the examples of Greek allusions in modern life don't end there. They're all over the place. I know you guys aren't probably walking around in town that much right now, but when you're free to go outside again and hang out, you will see allusions to Greek myth all over the place. It's really a very common part of American life. And so you kind of want to know who these people are that they're alluding to. All right, so in the Google Classroom, you will see the link to the purple form. It has these texts, and it just has one comprehension question about each of them. Those read and responds are due by 3 p.m. on Thursday. Okay, so the next step is to read some Greek myths. So I'm going to ask you to finish your learning by choosing some Greek myths to read on your own. For some of you, that will be fun. You might want to read more than that, and I welcome you to do that. And for others, no, I get it's not going to be as fun, but Greek myths are, generally speaking, kind of interesting. They're pretty juicy. So for our next class, we're going to be using the Greek myths to do some work. So you want to make sure to not skip this part. So you might want to make a note of which Greek myths that you read so that you can find them easily again so that you can use them for your work next week. So there's a link, and the link is on the Google Classroom as well. And you're going to follow the link to browse through myths and select 3 to read. Most of them are pretty short, so reading 3 myths shouldn't take you very long. If somehow you find your way into a myth that's really long, feel free to abandon it and go pick a short one. I assigned 3 because I pictured them being pretty short. Make a note of what you read, like I said, because we are going to use this information next week. It's not just like a kind of like a voluntary extension task that I'm giving you for extra credit. We are actually going to use these myths to do some work. So it's really important that you actually read them and you remember which ones you read. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to click the link, and then you can kind of see the website. So this website, if you look at the URL in the browser window, it's GreekMythsForKids.com. And it's part of this big website that's all about ancient history for kids. And yes, it's for kids. So it's not even at a 6th grade reading level, but I picked this site because I wanted to make sure that everything I threw towards you was appropriate, right? So the way that this website works is you have to click on a person first. So there's a list of people, and the myths are inside those links. So for example, say I was interested in learning about Artemis, the goddess of the moon, the lunar goddess. I would click her name, and the website would give me kind of like a description of who she is, right? But this is not a myth itself. It's just an explanation of who she is. There's 2 myths that you can then click on. So to get to a myth, you're gonna need to click the person and then click a myth. Some of them only have 1, but most of them have more than 1. So as you can see from the color, I have already clicked on Artemis and the Deer Hunter. It's a really famous myth. You can click on it. And this is the myth of Artemis and kind of her boyfriend. So when I click on it, wow. For some reason, it's looping me back to just her description. So let's click Artemis and the 4th labor of Hercules and see if that one's any better. It is, okay. So this is a story about Hercules and Artemis, okay? Most Artemis stories are about hunting, so this one is also about hunting. The stag of Artemis is a deer, okay. So once you are in the website, you can pick who you want your myth to be about. Keep in mind that this website is a little bit old and clunky, and it's really important that you not click on any of the ads or links. You might have noticed they're quite intrusive. So I'm just gonna pick Hermes, right? And when I click on Hermes, it says Hermes, Ancient Gods for Kids, and then there's a Protect Your Mac link and an instrument ad, and like on the side, there's stuff for installing different apps. Please do not click any links on this website, even if they advertise games, because this website is old, and some of these ads I don't think you can trust not to harm your Chromebook or your computer. So I would say please don't click on them. I would not recommend it for the health of your Chromebook. Okay. They might install cookies, they might install all kinds of stuff. Hopefully no viruses, but I wouldn't recommend clicking. Okay, so hopefully that's enough. Let's see. Important note. Make note of which myths you read. Don't click ads or any links. And you'll need to click the link for the person first, and then another link to see the myth about them. So once you've read 3 myths for the day, you are done. And we'll talk next week. Okay. Thank you very much.